What is up, my brothers and sisters? So, apparently the Russian satellite came crashing back to Earth already, and I'm like, well, where'd it go? I'm like, where's all the news articles, right? And they did this for the Chinese rockets and all that, right? They're like, you know what? The good thing is, after all the scaring of people, it ended up landing in the middle of nowhere where no one would see it, right? That's how it always happens, right? It always happens this way. I'm telling you. And, this is a lame excuse for when a giant piece of space debris is crashing to Earth, and then they're going to scare the shit out of you, right? But then because it ended up crashing where nobody could see it or no one will find it, they're like, it's all good. And then they just like never a peep about it again, right? But, they just like make up some shit to, to trick you and deceive you, right? Because, really it's probably a fucking, a meteor or like a house-sized comet, right? That's like crashing into Earth, but they're going to make up some shit. They're going to be like, it's one of our satellites, right? Because they always take credit for the creator's miracles and, but it ended up crashing in the middle of nowhere. So like, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not a peep, you'll never know. It was definitely a satellite though, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? They just told you that bullshit because they got to come up with some shit to lie to you, right? Because they don't want you to really know that there's fire and brimstone waiting for our asses on, the orbit of Earth, right? So they're going to tell you it's some fucking Russian trash or something, right? And so I'm looking at the news articles, and it's like the Soviet Cosmos 482 spacecraft crashes into an unknown site on Earth. In other words, we don't even know where the fuck it landed, right? And then it says, defunct Soviet spacecraft comes crashing down to Earth somewhere. He's like, dude, did you ever calculate the mathematics in that? And he's like, nah, bro. He's like, I did, but I couldn't really pinpoint it. I pinpointed it somewhere in like, anywhere on the Earth. Right? He's like, that's not very good, bro. He's like, bro, we're supposed to be like mathematicians and physicists, and like we can't even fucking figure out a math equation. He's like, I know. Right? Like these guys suck. These guys are trash. Like whoever these scientists are, like they suck. Like they're trash, right? Like how did you Okay. So you can fucking pinpoint and do the mathematics and the physics and sending a rocket off into space and mathematically get this equation correct, right? You can mathematically and use your mind and physics, right, and your specialties to land on the moon or go to Mars, right? Elon's like, we're going to go to Mars. Elon's like, we're going to send rockets into space, right? And all these mathematics and physicists have calculated, E equals MC square, and we're going to fucking go to Mars, right? We're going to go to the moon. We're going to launch these rockets, but y'all can't fucking pinpoint where a piece of trash in our orbit. It's not like it came from like outer space, right? And like it was like way the fuck out there. And they just like, they really didn't know, right? Because even then they're like, oh, we don't really. And I'm like, okay, if it's coming from past the moon and all that shit, right? It's like, but you want to go to fucking Mars and shoot rockets up there. Like, if I was the fucking astronaut on these like things, I'd be like, dude, like I'm not like too confident that your mathematical equations and your physics are going to land me on the moon or Mars, because y'all are way the fuck off when it comes to something approaching us, and you want to send me approaching it, right?